Hey, thanks for stopping by the channel. I'm super excited to have with me today Lareen. We talked about this before. Um, Narva, she is the owner and operator of Bittersweet Chocolates.
Actually,
She
it's
is,
Gluten Free Bakery.
excuse me, Bittersweet Gluten Free Bakery.
Yes.
I'm glad. Thank you. I Everybody kept telling me it was bittersweet chocolate,
Yeah.
so we'll
Yeah.
make sure it gets in there the right way. Um, as always, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you're checking out the bell icon down there to get notifications. Like, comment, and share. I believe that you are going to have a lot of reasons to comment and react to this. If anyone doesn't know the story, um, Bittersweet has been canceled to some level or another, but we'll get to that. Lareen, tell us a little bit about your business, how you came to own it, and why, how you decided to start it, and then we'll go from there. We'll talk about your running afoul of political correctness and how horrible and evil you are. So have
Yeah.
at it.
Well, about 40 years ago, my family had some health issues, and in the medical world, they didn't know how to treat me. I was pregnant with my third child and got very sick in my third month of pregnancy, and
Hmm.
a lot of gastrointestinal issues that caused me to lose 10 pounds. And they thought I had parasites and quite a few different things, and didn't know what to do for me. But I was sick for like a month, and very, very sick, and had to go live with my mom. And after that, the health of myself and my kids became a very big um, topic for me, only because of the amount of sickness that I experienced in 1 month. And so we had been doing chiropractic all my life. And I found out about a chiropractor that tests you with muscle testing for health issues. And I thought, man, I'm in. I had two boys that had ear infections. My daughter had gastrointestinal issues. I had issues. I thought, I'm going to check this out. I'm sick of not knowing what's going on. And after one visit, found out I needed to remove wheat and dairy from our diets. We did that, and the rest is history. So after that, there was nothing to buy in the store but rice cakes, and you can't raise kids on rice cakes. You probably could, but I chose not to.
Kids
So
shall not live on rice cakes
kids
alone.
shall not, no. And so when I grew up, I was the one in my household that cooked all the sweets, and my sister cooked the main meals. And so I was very used to cooking. And I thought to myself, I've got to be able to create this. This can't be that big of a deal. Yeah, well, a lot of trial and error and a lot of really nasty tasting food. And you can ask my family. I finally came up with sweet cookies that were edible, and thought, man, finally, I got a chocolate chip cookie. It was never my idea to open a business. I grew up with a dad who was a very successful mechanical contractor. I knew what kind of commitment owning a business meant and what it took away from your family. And I just didn't want any part of that. And I was a very committed mom, three children. My youngest one was a senior in high school when people started pushing me into, well, not pushing me, um, suggesting that I take this to another level, meaning opening up a business. And so I really didn't want to do it. Again, not because I'm afraid of work. I just knew what kind of work it was going to take. And I didn't want to sacrifice my time with my family and my kids. So I just kept saying, well, after my youngest one graduates, I'll think about it. Well, then after he graduated, there was no more thinking about it. I had to do something because people kept pushing. So long story short, we went to a celiac walk, brought up some foods that I prepared to make for that. And everybody loved it. And I thought, well, I guess I'm going to have to do something here. The Lord brought this to me, and I came into this kicking and screaming because all along the way, I have no education in cooking. I mean, except for at home, cooking for the family. And
That's where all the best ones get their start.
well, but in this world of food, it's very cliquey and it's very
Oh yeah.
snobby. And I just had nothing but, in the kitchen experience. And I thought, how am I going to do this? I don't have any clue what that all looks like. So slowly but surely, my son and I got our food, what do they call it again? Food handler or no, food protection service program, whatever.
Food safety, food safety management certification.
Yeah, they keep changing it. Every time we
Yeah.
have to read it, there's a new name on it. But basically,
Right.
you
Same
have to have
thing,
a license.
different name.
Yeah.
That's how they
Basically,
justify making you pay for it.
food. Yeah. You have to have a license to sell food to the public. So we did that, and then we decided to open, and it went really well from the beginning. I was the only gluten-free bakery in the Twin Cities that was open to the public. There was one other one, and she sold just to wholesale, and I was looking to have it open so people could come in, experience a bakery experience, not have to buy it prepackaged in the store and who knows how long it's been sitting on the shelf kind of thing.
Right.
So that was 17 years ago. And we've been going, ups and downs of the food world, but
Yeah.
Yep, we've been going that strong for 17 years.
You still have your storefront?
We still have original storefront is still here. Yep.
All right. So you still have your storefront. So you ended up, and we talked about this on the phone a couple of weeks ago. We were supposed to be doing this a while ago, but TC got sick, and I wasn't doing anything. So like at all, like the couch to the bathroom to the kitchen to the couch to the bathroom to the couch. So
Yeah.
and so it was I was down and out. So I had to push this off, and so we had a couple other things come up, and we finally had it happen today, and I was running late for today too. That's the story of my life now.
Yeah.
Made this business owner who's works incredibly hard all day long, and then I made her wait. Lareen, you ended up in a local co-op for almost an entire 17 years.
Yep.
After they discovered your product. Tell us who they were and how that came about.
Well, I was a member of Valley Natural Foods for many years, or shopped
As
there
a member customer.
as a person off the street. You buy into the membership, and it gets you a few perks here and there, and really supported and wanted to support that endeavor because it was important for me with this new lifestyle that I had to be in. You couldn't buy your flowers in the grocery store, so I had to go to a natural food avenue, and Valley Natural was close and it was good. And so during the time that I started to cook, and they kept asking me, why are you buying cases of flour, white rice flour? And so I was telling them, well, I'm kind of experimenting with opening up a gluten-free bakery. They were very excited. Every time I'd come in and order my stuff, they'd say, how close are you opening? We really, really need that. And we really want your product in our store. So let us know. As soon as you get open, give us a call. And so I did. They were one of my first clients. And it was it's been a very good working relationship up until 2 months ago. I never had issues with them. They were very easy to work with. Even in all the changes of hands that go on in a natural food store, you're always getting a new, somebody's changing positions as far as leadership or who you order from or, all that kind of thing. It all went very well. I never had issues with payment or anything. It was just a very, very good relationship. And so they were the very
and you
first.
sold a lot, and you sold a lot of product through them.
A lot of product. In fact, the last, 5 years, they got 2 orders a week from me. So it was my largest account. And we delivered to them twice a week, and again, no issues, and it all was good. And my products sold very well. I mean, when I first opened, I was their only fresh gluten-free company. And then about, probably 4 or 5 years after I opened, they opened up their own gluten-free bake shop. but they still continued to carry my product, which was really nice. I mean, they could have just dropped me because they had their own gluten free, but variety was key. You don't want to they didn't want to just have one company. They wanted the variety. It brought in more people, and I had a following. They knew my product, and it would probably not been a good idea for them to drop me at that time. And the reason for dropping me would probably have been just because they opened their own company. It wasn't because of my product or our working relationship, anything like that. So
yeah, exactly.
and I have a
So
good relationship with the bakers that they opened with the people that they had baking for them. I had a very good relationship with too. Also.
yeah, so there was no hostility in any of this, and there was no major battles or anything. So you had already said up until a couple of months ago. So yeah, we're going back to now. I think it was at the end of July, correct?
End of June.
End of June. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Then so at the end of June, you um you kind of came under some heat, came under some spotlight because you had the audacity to show up to a local school board meeting and speak on kind of the same issues that a lot of people in Minnesota have been speaking on lately. And it's not, you aren't alone. You didn't show up to speak on this issue out of the blue. This is something there again, if everybody's paying attention, those of you that have been paying attention to the work that I've been doing with Owatonna and some other areas, but the Owatonna parents organization over there, the United Patriots for Accountability out of Owatonna is doing the same thing. They're showing up at every school board meeting and they're speaking about critical theory, in particular, critical race theory, and now even critical sexual theory and comprehensive sex ed. And so you showed up at which school district is it?
District 196.
So you showed up at District 196, and that's in the Lakeville area?
Rosemount, Apple Valley, Eagan.
Okay. Yeah. So you show up to District 196 and you share your views on critical theory. And of course, during that time, you were yelling and screaming and swearing and insulting people and calling them all sorts of horrible, unchristian names, correct? Because you're a monster.
Yeah, no, not even close. No.
Oh, all right. So share a little bit of what prompted you to go to the school board to speak out and share a little bit, and you don't have to go into great detail, but share a little bit about what you actually said during that meeting and how you addressed it.
Right. Well, I am a grandmother now in the school district. My dad graduated from Rosemount. I graduated from Rosemount. My kids did. Now my grandchildren are there. And with all that's been going on, and especially since the Black Lives Matter movement, my grandson would come home from school with these conversations. I was just amazed that they were having. They were allowing these Black Lives Matter posters all over, and then the talk about what was being studied in class. And then when COVID kept kids home and they were learning remotely, a lot of things were discovered as to what were they actually learning or what were the topics that they were actually having. And I kept thinking to myself, what the heck's going on here? Why are we taking this one incident in downtown Minneapolis? I don't want to give credit to all that happened down there because I think it was a bunch of crap, but that's my opinion. But they took that and they just ran with it and put it everywhere in the school. And I thought, this is not what schools are about. Schools aren't supposed to jump on the latest political thing and then go with it. They're supposed to be teaching the 3 R's and teaching kids how to, associate with other kids. And, it just became very obvious that there was more to education than what it used to be when I was there. And so talking to friends and neighbors and whatever, and that's like, can you believe that this is what they're doing? Well, then I started talking to some people in the area. There's a couple of groups I belong to. One is called Concerned Parents of District 196, and the other one is Dakota Patriots. And within those groups, they they started talking about more than just what I had heard. And I thought, well, this is ridiculous. And they asked, people, if you want to speak at a school board meeting, all you got to do is sign up. And we really don't like to have it that there's the same people speaking, because it makes it look like just a couple of parents are concerned. And so if anybody wants to speak, please feel free to do that. We'll help you if you have any concerns about how you're going to write your speech or, that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, heck, I can do it. I mean, I can talk. I'd rather, coming from my age perspective, I mean, I'm 65, plus I have an investment in this district because of the generations in my family that have gone there. And so I went to a school board meeting before I spoke because I wanted to just see what the dynamics were. And so they opened the meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then they allow people to speak, and they go through their agenda. And I thought, what really hit me was, we opened with the Pledge of Allegiance, but do we really know what we just pledged to? You got a flag up there, and you're talking about killing that flag with critical race theory. And so your school board members here that have been elected by the community, their pay comes out of our taxes, are promoting this stuff. This is just wrong. And so,
well, it's funny that you had said something earlier, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think this is pivotal. We refer to the virus that everybody's really scared of right now. We refer to it as the coof, because that way YouTube doesn't pick it up in their algorithm and cancel me. So, so as the coof kind of swept through, and we had all these mandates and all these shutdowns, and the schools were jumping on board with the scare, they created a monster for themselves, and that is the parental involvement that they were not counting on anymore.
No,
they had. You don't even hardly hear people talk about parent-teacher conferences anymore. But now all of a sudden, I mean, I dreaded them. I was like, oh no, mom and dad are going to parent-teacher. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. But school boards and in school districts, in and of them, especially school administration, superintendents and assistant soups and principals and vice principals and all of that, none of them were used to, and teachers especially are not used to that depth of parental involvement. And all of a sudden you got the kids at home learning online, and the parents can look in and see what these public servants, and that's what they are. They are public servants. They're not officials. They're not just teachers. They're seeing these public servants literally stepping out of the role of education and stepping into the role of indoctrination. It's a religious, it has very strong religious connotations and overtones, and parents are seeing this play out. And so I'm really glad that you brought that up, because that really put a spotlight on what's been happening. The kids can come home and talk about what they're learning, and you talk to the kids and you're like, okay, are you really learning that? Or is this just your brain working through what you think you're hearing? But when you could sit back and see the materials and hear what's being talked about, that takes away all that second guessing. So thank you, for excuse me, not exposing, but for bringing that up. So you're at that first meeting, you're listening. The school board members probably don't really understand why they're reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. The people in the room probably don't understand. And you're watching this, and now you're thinking, I'm going to speak the next time I'm here.
Yep. So what I did was I said, first of all, I thanked Brad, the very brave high schooler that spoke the meeting before, for his courage to stand up and talk, because being a freshman, I think at that time, sophomore, all the guts it took for him to stand up and tell what really happens in school. He took a real chance in that, but courage is doing the right thing when you don't know what the outcome is going to be, but you do it because you need to do it. And so then I said, we just got done pledging to the allegiance of the flag. What did we just do? And so I went into some detail of what does it mean to pledge. There's devotion, there's excuse me, a commitment, and I said, but all this we just did was we pledged it under God. It says one nation under God. And then I said, not Allah, not Buddha, or any other God. And that's when the crowd went wild. The teachers about crapped themselves because, oh my gosh, how could I say that? And so then, I just talked about how.
Wait, so the crowd actually kind of came into an uproar and interrupted you while you were speaking at that point?
I even had to lean into the mic to talk because they were getting pretty loud. And then they had a group of teachers sitting I shouldn't say teachers, they were all dressed the same in these black t-shirts. And they had a phrase on there, which was so ironic. It said, District 196 Teachers for Equality,
equity.
Something.
I bet it was equity.
Well, I think they had equality on there, but they do have the word equity everywhere else. And I brought that up too in my speech, because CRT and equity go hand in hand. Equity is just a cover word for CRT.
100%. And they don't even and they don't even know how they're defining it, because they use the word equity. They not only do they use the word equity, they use the word equity and talk about equal outcome. That's what they talk about. But then they say we're not looking for equality, which is ironic. They really do believe they want equal outcome. They want everybody to have the exact same thing at the end of the day, regardless of anything. They think that everybody should have the exact same endpoint. That everybody should come out at the same level. And we've been. Go ahead.
They make it sound like they want everybody, but it's all about the bad white people. It's not about equality. They're not trying to make it equal for everybody, no matter what your skin color or anything else. That's not what this is about. This is about putting you into little groups. We're back to segregation again.
Yeah. Well, what they're doing, and this is why people have to understand the absolute Marxist. And that's why when people say, "Oh, they're liberals," they're not liberals. They are not liberals. True liberalism is dead set against this. This is not classical liberalism. This is leftism. It's Marxism. It's cultural socialism, and and I've talked about Gramscian Marxism, Gramscian theory on my channel quite a bit. But that's what this is Marxism. And so when they talk about equity, what they're talking about is literally taking anybody that they view to be in that oppressor class or that privileged class and not letting them continue to excel, but they're literally doing everything they can to chop them down and bring them down. They're not doing anything to lift anybody up out of the muck and the mire. They want those people to stay in the muck and the mire. They just want to pull you down into the muck and the mire with them so that you can all be equally miserable. That's their equity, is equal misery. And you have this fight on your hands now because you dared to say that about the end of the pledge, that it's one nation under God. They're starting to shout you down, and that's when you turned on them and started to yell at them, right?
No.
No. Okay. So what's give me a summation of your follow-up comments then after your comments about the pledge.
Well, I went into how we as parents, we pledge a devotion to this flag. And then I said, how many of you have had a family member either fight or die in a war? And they pledged and gave their life for our freedom and liberty. And with that freedom, we have the right to be able to come here and speak. We have the right to be able to have an opinion, but not with what the CRT and the Black Lives Matter movement. And then I did the worst thing in their world ever. I said that Black Lives Matter was the most racist organization in the history of the United States. Well, oh boy, the crowd decided to rear up again. I did a few things that they just didn't like. And then I also talked about, they were trying to shut down the school board meetings so that the public could not attend them anymore. That was one thing that was on the docket. And I had said, as a business owner, I would never hire an employee and then not watch what they do and monitor their work. You guys work for us. How can we be allowed not to come here and you just do your thing and we're going to pay you? That doesn't make any sense.
I want you to go back and say that again. The school board did what? I know what you said, but I just want, you said it so fast. I want people to hear what you just said. The school board did what with the public?
They wanted to close the school board meeting so the public could not be present.
You're not just talking about no public forum where the public couldn't speak. They wanted to literally empty the school board room.
Yep.
So that there would be no public observation of them other than video recording.
Yep. 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 So that was another thing I spoke on. I said, you know, you can't.
They literally proposed. They literally proposed this as a change.
After the speeches that night, they voted on it, and they did not shut them down, but they did cut back.
How close of a vote was? How close of a vote was it?
I don't know. They did. I don't remember the numbers because some of that stuff, when they go through it, there was so much chatter going on. That meeting was pretty heavy, and there was a lot of, you know, not only there was two sides. One of the room were the black shirted teachers, and they also bust in teachers from different districts just to make that room fill out. Which, how stupid is that? I mean, really, you don't have enough teachers in one district to support.
Well, you know, and here's, you know, fine. I don't like. I'm all for packing a room. I'm Saul Alinsky wrote a book called Rules for Radicals, and one of his rules for radicals, and of course they're leftists, but his rule for leftist radicals was you make the enemy play by their own rules. That's fine. You want to bus people in from another school district? We're going to start bussing people in too, and we have a lot more people able to drive.
Right.
So there again, people need to understand they're not used to the accountability.
No.
They are not used to being in the spotlight. They're not used to people. And that's our fault. Everybody who knows me knows this is our fault. This is Lareen's fault. This is my fault. This is every other person out there of voting age and older. This is your fault. We're all to blame for this. For one, we don't pay attention to who's running for school board. We don't show up to candidate forums and ask questions. That's changing too. Because I know you're friends with Cinta. But that's starting to change. And so when we do show up now, it does look, I can imagine it probably does seem hostile. It probably does seem incredibly threatening. You know, if you own a business and your employees are not used to you paying attention to them, and then all of a sudden you start showing up every day, all day, and in their minds breathing down their necks, they're going to hate you too. You're going to automatically become the enemy. Even if they're doing their jobs right, they're going to be very terrified of that constant scrutiny. And so we own a lot of this. So you spoke out about them. You reminded them that they're servants and not masters. They're not rulers. They're not the government, that we're the government, and they answer to us. Did that cause an uproar too, or did people kind of settle down after that? That caused an uproar.
Yeah. You know, what happened is they took the one phrase as a small business owner and they capitalized on it. And that's what gave them that was their key word to go after me, I think, was the Black Lives Matter comment and the small business owner aspect, because I wasn't there representing my business. I was there as a concerned citizen of the district, nothing more. I never mentioned the name of my company. I never said on behalf of or anything. I was just saying the reference of as a small business owner to show the accountability that a person needs to have if you're going to get paid by somebody.
Yeah, well, here I am. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer in the district, and I own a tax-paying business in the district. Yep. I have a responsibility to be here.
Yeah. And so then after that, I talked about how the Civil War was one of the biggest bloodbaths of brother against brother to free Black people. And they didn't like that either. I mean, everything got to be a real.
They got mad at that?
They got mad at that because that.
During the meeting?
That was not how historically, how do I know? And then I said, we are teaching our children to be little tyrants. We're not teaching them to love the flag, love what it stands for liberty and freedom. We're teaching them to be rebellious and little tyrants. And that's not what you're called to do. You're called to be a teacher to teach them the 3 R's, not the rest of it. And so then with the claim for the freedom part, that none of what I said beyond that they liked. Everything was just, you could hear them. They had a few people sitting in the front row, and they would laugh constantly while you were talking.
Oh yeah.
To try to distract you from speaking. And then
mostly what they do, that tactic is done to distract the people who could possibly be hearing. That's why they do that. It's not just you speaking. It's to muffle you and make it hard for everyone else. Oh yeah, it's trained. It's an absolutely trained tactic.
Yeah, it is. Well, and the sad part about it is it takes a lot of courage. And I'm not saying this on my part, because some people are comfortable with speaking in front of crowds and some people aren't. But when you're a mama bear and you're fighting for your kids, all of a sudden you get a lot of courage. And there's a lot of parents have gotten that. They've taken it and they've gone, you know what, I've got to say something. I can't sit back any longer. And when they do that and they get up there and they pour their heart out, the school board don't care. They're just sitting there. They don't care a whip about what we say. And it's very evident. You can see the looks on their faces. They don't care what you're saying. We could go up to every single meeting, and every single speaker could be a person that's, on our side, let's call it that, and they wouldn't care. And that's the frustrating part about this whole thing. Only way you can fight the school board is to vote them out. That's it. Because going to these meetings doesn't mean a lick of nothing.
Well,
they don't care.
You're right in that they're not used to, like, I've commented on Albert Lee School District's meetings now, and done a lot on Owatonna with their school district meetings. And they're very clear, especially Albert Lee. They announce, we will not answer questions, and you will not ask us questions, and you will not name anybody by name, and and on and on and on. And so which of course they're not technically allowed to do. Now by law, they're and constitutionally, they're not required to have a public forum. There's nothing that requires any school district or city council or county commission or anybody to allow the public to comment. There's nothing that requires that. You have a right to a redress of grievances, and there are other ways for you to do it. So, and they're very quick to remind you, we don't have to have a public forum. We had a situation last night in Owatonna. The school board chair said, we've had a lot of people come here speaking lately, and we've heard from a lot of these people every single time there's been a meeting, and we don't have to let that person continue to speak because we've already heard what they had to say. And I looked right at him and I said, you don't have a right to shut down anybody. If you're going to have a public forum, you let everybody speak or you let no one speak.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that. So, Lareen, let's step outside of the meeting now and talk a little bit about, and I want you to name the person, because there is one particular person who drove this, and it was an attack on you. This person orchestrated an attack on your business, and they orchestrated a boycott and ultimately a cancellation of your business with, is it Nature Valley?
Valley Natural.
Valley Natural.
Well, it wasn't just Valley Natural. This person, and I'm sorry, I'm not remembering this person's name.
I know she's running for school board against Cinta.
Okay. But there was another guy that headed up this petition, and I don't remember his name. I don't have Facebook. My son is the one that manages our Facebook page for the bakery here. And that's where we saw the information. But the other person, I guess I'm not aware of that person who's running against Cinta. I didn't see that. But this one guy, he claimed to be a Christian, and he listed all his background. He used to be a guitar player at River Valley, and he went
that's out of, he represents Christ and you don't.
Right, exactly. And that's what set that tone. And he wanted to get a petition together of at least 100 people and take it to every business I work with and get them to cancel me. That was
to include your your providers.
Yep. So he
How far
wanted
did
to
he
go to
get
every.
with how far did he get with getting you canceled with your the manufacturers and stuff that you work with? Are you still doing business with them?
Nope, I've lost 4 companies.
So you've had to find new companies then.
Well, we're working on it. I mean, that's easier said than done, because right now, because of the volatility of all that's going on, I kind of have to lay low a little bit, because to run right out and try to find accounts, you fight a battle there that gets to be pretty, you kind of like, it's almost like if you don't give it some time to settle down, you're fighting so many battles at one time that it's just not worth it. So we've just been sitting back.
So you've lost you've lost 4 companies that you buy product from to make your product.
No, I've lost 4 companies I sell my product to.
Oh, okay.
Where my profits come from, not the other way around.
No. All right. But you still have your suppliers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
so
not
he
about
didn't
my
try to.
suppliers. It was about who I supply to.
Okay, so he didn't go after your suppliers. He went after the businesses you supply to.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've lost 4 of them. With this petition, let's just go ahead and throw out these cowards businesses by name. And I damage is done, so let's go for it.
Yep. Valley Natural Foods in Burnsville.
Who you'd been with for almost 17 years.
Yep. And all these companies I've been with at least 10 years, and Valley Natural was 17, but the other companies were at least 10.
It wasn't product problems. It wasn't payment problems. It wasn't supply problems. This all happened because some socialist Marxist leftist decided he was going to get you canceled. So you've lost start at the top again. Valley Natural
Foods in Burnsville.
17
River
years.
Market, River Market Co-op in Stillwater.
How many years?
At least 10.
All right.
Linden Hills in Richfield, again, at least 10 years. And then the Wedge in Minneapolis. And that's probably been the last 5 to 7 years.
Okay. So extended period of time with each one of these. And these petitions went out to every business that you do business with.
No, I don't know that I don't know if they sent them out. They called, or they physically went into the store and asked to talk to the store manager. That's what they did.
And they basically, my understanding from the feedback that I have received is that they told them, if you don't stop doing business with this racist woman, we are going to make sure that no one does business with you.
We're going to quit shopping at your store. We're going to make sure everybody knows that you support. Now you got to get this right. I got 3 titles here. I'm a racist, I'm a bigot, and I'm a social injustice warrior. That's the 3 titles they've thrown out there now.
Racist, bigot, social injustice warrior.
Yep. And because of that,
and you have all of this plastered. All of this is plastered on the windows of your business. You tell people, if you don't look this particular way, or if you believe these particular things, you're not allowed in my business. Right? You got that all on there, right? And you check to see if they're carrying the wrong holy book and stuff.
Yeah. No, what I have in my business is a Bible verse on the wall, and I have Bible verses on my product. I have nothing else.
Okay. You're a horrible bigot. If you can, I mean, you need to really really be more bold with your bigotry.
Yeah, it's terrible. I know. Yeah.
So you lost. Let's just give me a rough percentage of how much between those 4 businesses. About what percentage of your business did those 4 businesses make up?
Well, Valley Natural was my top one. And so if you add them all together, I don't know. I suppose it's about 15 to 20%.
Okay. Any business owner will tell you. Any business owner will tell you take a 15 to 20% hit on your business. That's not like losing $15, misplacing $15 out of 100. That's you're not going to be real thrilled about it, but you're going to be, I can make that up. This is a constant every day, every week, every month reality of a 15 to 20% reduction in business. All for nothing more than saying schools should be about educating to educate, not educate to indoctrinate, but educate for the sake of educating students.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Keeping in mind 20% would be on the high side of it, but the bottom line is I'm a small business. I don't have conglomerate. I don't have, money that's just laying out there for me. I work hard for every piece I've got, every dollar I get. And so whether it would be 10%, 5%, 20%, that still affects my period of bottom line. And it's going to cost me. Thank God I have my family who works for me. Because if I had other people outside my family, I wouldn't be able to probably stay open, because my family will take a pay cut if we have to, because of just what happens in the food world, because it's very fickle. You never know. But yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
No, I'm not a business owner, and I do not pretend to be one or play one on TV, but people have got to understand that this is the tactic. This is what the community organizers for years have been doing. You target your enemies and you hit them where it hurts, and you isolate them and you separate them from their support. And you could say whatever you want. You can slander them, you can libel them, you could flat out tell lies about them. In their minds, anything that they want to say is fine, and they dare people to take them on. What they're not used to is people fighting back. So in a lot of respects, they're an awful lot like the school boards and the city councils and the county commissions. They're not used to people fighting back, which is why some of this is an uproar. That's why this is happening, is that we've got people like you and others who are now showing up at the school board meetings, and they're not just addressing the school boards anymore. They're now addressing a group of people that thought they had this on lock.
Yeah.
Let me ask, are you still getting people coming in?
We've had a very great outpouring from the community. It's been very humbling. People that used to shop at Valley Natural now shop in my store. So it's been very...
which gives you a better profit margin.
Yeah, it does. But it's been...
You probably shouldn't admit that.
Yeah, but, it's part about, when you're in business, you want to get your name out there, and you want, people like to do one-stop shopping and all the rest of it. So, you do things like that. But what Valley Natural was not expecting the kickback they got, though. There were a lot of people that pulled their memberships and won't shop there anymore. And they physically went in and talked to the managers or the CEO. He was pretty hard to get a hold of after a while. He got sick and tired of having to answer for it. And so people would write him letters, or they'd email him, or they'd do this or that. But they lost a lot of people. And I don't think they were expecting that at all. They were not prepared for that.
I don't feel bad for them.
No, well, I don't either.
I know.
I don't feel bad, because they didn't have a problem what they did to me, and I'm not trying to say, good, they got it. It's great that they got hurt. It's that I don't think that they understood what they did to me and how it hurt my business. And now look what happened. They had things happen to them, and it's hurt their business too. So what goes around comes around.
Which was not orchestrated by you. You did not reach out to, I know for a fact that when the story started to break what was happening, you were very cautious about even involving yourself. And we even played a little bit of feeling each other out about this conversation. I'm flat out like, if a business is going to do this to another business, if they're going to cave to public pressure, then they should have every expectation that public pressure can be brought to bear on them as well.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and I
Yep.
think that's perfectly right. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a free market economy. That, ladies and
Yep.
gentlemen, is what true capitalism is about, which is incredibly ironic, if you
Yep.
ask me, that the people who orchestrated this attack on you were using capitalistic methods to try and
Yeah.
stop you from
Yeah.
being a
Yeah.
capitalist.
What
So
their whole goal was
go
their
ahead.
whole goal was that my company would go under. That was their goal. They wanted to
Yep.
crush me. They wanted to make a point. See, don't do what she did, because if you do, look what's going to happen. You're going to lose
Yep.
everything. So you better shut up and listen. You better just do what we tell you to do. Well, you know what? I grew up in a very capitalistic family. My dad started a business from scratch. He didn't know what he was doing before he started his plumbing business, and he had a goal. He had to just become something, and he did. And I grew up with that. I mean, you never just were given something. I mean, when I was growing up, I was being a woman. I had to fight for everything. I mean, things weren't just handed to you. You had to prove that you could do whatever it is you were trying to do, and not just
Yep.
given to you. Nothing was handed to me. So,
Right.
this is
But
the
see,
same
that's
kind of
your
thing.
white privilege. You even as and this is the argument that people will make. That's because you have white privilege. So even though you struggled and had to work for things, you had a leg up because you were white and your dad was an entrepreneur. And so you've profited off of other people's suffering to get out of your suffering and out of your struggling. I know you've heard that. I know you've heard that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so. Let me ask this. Um, I'm a small channel, but I do have viewers from literally all over the country. Um, who many of them are actually health nuts. I'm becoming more of a health nut. I'm not quite the same as everybody else, but and we actually in our family had gone through a lot of what you were talking about with your health with my son. He went through a lot of the same things, and we went to a therapeutic nutritionist who did the exact same kind of testing with him, testing for mineral toxification and all of that stuff. And we went through that with him and got him healthy. And he actually grew inches in a matter of months after we figured out. And he had the gluten issue and some of the dairy sensitivities and egg sensitivities and all of that's cleared up now because we changed his diet and put him on some really good supplements and got him healthy. And now he's fine. Well,
yep.
I don't know if he's fine. He's poor kid's my kid, but he's not a kid anymore either. But I have a lot of people out there in the world that I know personally, fans of my channel, people who follow me through social media, who would go, I would love to do business with someone who is a traditional Christian who loves people because they're made in Imago Dei in the image of God, and who might be willing, who not just people who live in the Twin Cities, but people who live in other parts of Minnesota and other parts of the country. If somebody contacted you, called you up and said, "Hey, I'd like to try your cookies," can they have them shipped?
Yep.
And can they order on your website, or do they have to call in to do that?
They have to call in and do that. We
Okay.
decided not to do a website thing because with gluten free, people have been burnt so many times because not all of it tastes wonderful. It's come a long way, but it's
Yeah.
still
There's
some
still some
other things.
struggles.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm keto
So it's
for the I'm keto, and I know people, "Oh, hey, these cookies are keto."
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
that might be keto, but it's
That was
not good.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing when I was opening up my business. I didn't want to just create a gluten free product. This product had to taste like the name. So if it said pumpkin bar, it had to taste like a pumpkin bar. It couldn't be dry, it couldn't be grainy. Everybody had to be able to eat it, not just gluten free. And so my taste testers, when I was creating my recipes, were my Bible study, my family, and my neighbors. And I would ask them to be blatantly honest with me. Tell me, what do you think? I can take it. I need to know. Is this something that you enjoy? I want, is it too dry? Is there any flavor? And so that's what helped me to develop my recipes, was the honesty of friends. And
Yeah.
so my
So
product doesn't
you can
taste gluten
handle
free.
you can handle brutality when it's honest.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
there we go. Um, so and we'll have I will get your business phone number, and you also have a Facebook page that your son runs.
Yep.
So people can contact you via phone. They can find you on Facebook, um,
Yep.
and they can order and they can have your product shipped to them. And here's why I'm asking, because she's a patriot, she's a constitutionalist, she's a traditionalist. She loves her neighbors as she loves herself. I know for a
Yep.
fact that she is a professing Christian. Her voicemail on her personal phone, and we won't give you that number, but her voicemail on her personal cell phone is ends with, "And I hope that Jesus blesses your socks off." So that is a quintessential. That's almost rocks and cows, even though she lives in the metro area. So so this is a business. This is a lady who deserves our support. She deserves to be rewarded for having the spine and encouraged, because you mentioned the definition of courage earlier, but I think one of the even greater definitions of courage is doing something, facing something when you have n- n- no guarantee of success at great
Yeah.
personal risk to yourself. And
Yeah.
that's what this courage that you displayed is you knew you were taking a risk. You knew it. You knew from the meeting that you had been at before and listening to other people talk, you knew that there was a risk in this. You have watched cancel culture affect other people in the world. You just didn't imagine it was going to come for you.
Yeah.
And here you are. So please, be encouraged that we are going to, and I know you said you've done one other of these. I know the media for the most part has ignored you
Yep.
in a positive light. They haven't come and looking for a positive story on you, some feel good fluff piece. If they've mentioned you at all, I would imagine it was evil baker.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
has your son reported to you whether or not there have been a lot of negative reviews of your business on Facebook or anywhere
Oh,
else?
yeah. There were a lot of negative in the beginning, and so they just kept monitoring that and took them off because it just breeds hatred. And
Right.
so we don't respond back to stuff because it just opens up banter, and I will not banter with people. We don't. People can have their opinion, but it's amazing to me how people can sit behind a keyboard and they can just rip you apart, but would they actually come in and talk to you face to face?
No.
Absolutely not. They have no
I
courage.
invite people who disagree with me to come on my channel all the time. I'm like, and I don't edit video. Like, I'll edit you getting up and running to go get your cord, but other than that, I don't edit anything out. I don't edit out my own stupidity or anybody else's stupidity, or if somebody's getting the better of me, I don't edit. I would never edit that out, and they won't come on because they do not have the courage of their convictions. They really don't have any convictions. They just parrot.
Well, that's where we are lacking biblical values, because the Bible will tell you if you've got a problem with your brother, go to your brother, talk to him. If he won't listen to you, take someone with you. We've created with social media the ability for people to just be stupid and have no accountability. And they
Oh
think
no,
that it's
people
okay.
were stupid well before social media. This is just blowing it up for us.
Exactly. It's giving them more stupidity. Let's put it that way.
Well,
but yeah,
in particular in Minnesota, in Minnesota, we're very anti-confrontational. That's why everybody talks about Minnesota nice. We're not. We're not Minnesota. We're like literally Minnesota passive aggressive or Minnesota terrified.
Yeah. Unless you belong to Black Lives Matter or Antifa, because then you can go out there and destroy property and it's all okay.
Well, but most of them aren't from Minnesota, so.
Well, that's true, but there's a few.
So yeah, I don't want to, like I said, I know you haven't done a lot of this. I know you did one other, but I just want to encourage you that, like, I am going to. A lot of the people that I know locally know who you are, but they're not. They probably didn't have it in their mind that they're just going to all jump in a car and drive 2 hours or 3 hours to go order, from Bittersweet. But now we can push people in that direction, and they can also reach out to some of the other businesses and say, hey, look, you know, we're going to be doing business with her, but we would never do business with somebody who hates their neighbor. And
Yeah.
and that's really what this comes down to, is they're hating their neighbor, and they're not having the courage of their convictions to come and talk to you, like you said. And I just want you to know, like, you are an inspiration to me. You don't we don't really know each other, but I have been following your story as much as I can. It's been an inspiration to me to see you be willing to do what you do. I'm going through a lot of my own fight right now, and that's going to be coming out in days, weeks, and months. And literally, it's going to take that long to tell the whole story. Because if I
Yeah.
tried to do one long video, it would be way too long. But I want you to know you're an inspiration, and not only have you inspired people like me that you don't know, I know for a fact that you're an inspiration to people like Cinta, um, and others. I mean that. I know, because when I asked people, I need to talk to this gal, Cinta was the person who messaged me and gave me your number.
Okay.
And
That's humbling. That's humbling.
or now you have a reason to call her up and go, why did you do that? um and she told me, I think she's like, let me check and make sure this is all right, but you know, or something to that effect, because I wanted to talk to you, not for anything other than I want your story to go out there. This is it right here. This is why we do what we do. This is why my channel exists. I said from the very first day that I walked out of my house on April 25th of 2020 to go walk up to the very first rally that I ever went to in Minnesota about lockdowns and shutdowns and mask mandates and all of that stuff. I said, I want to tell stories that the media is never going to tell. And
Yeah.
for the life of me, I never dreamed I would be where I am right now, a year and 3 months later, or 4 months later, with over 700 subscribers and people watching daily and interacting and reaching out to
Yeah.
other businesses that I've talked to and doing business with them because they want to support people with spine courage, and that's why this channel exists. It's not about
Right.
me. It's not about my own ego. Well, I suppose at some point it's about my ego, because we all have that problem. But this is about people like Lareen. I got it right?
You did.
And what she's going through. So go to Bittersweet. I can do this. Bittersweet Gluten Free Bakery. There, I got it. And order from them, even if you're not gluten free. If you have friends that are gluten free and they complain that there's nothing good for them, go. Do you do gift certificates?
We don't right now. No.
Well, we're going to have to make that happen. We're going to have to get so many people looking to have their friends who are gluten free have good food, that you're going to have to come up with something, because if I order things for people, it'll be all chocolate chip cookies. That'd be it. But go do business with her, order, pay the shipping. Like right now with gas prices the way they are, it's still better than driving to your local bakery and buying, not that local bakeries, but your local grocery store, and buying something crappy off the shelf. And then sister, stay strong and stay in contact with me. Let me know if there's anything that we can do to continue to promote you and help you. We will do it. By we, I mean me and people, the tens and tens of people that'll.
Very encouraged. We've had a lot of teachers stop in here and tell us, my gosh, thank you so much, because we can't say a thing. But on a regular basis, weekly, even daily, we have people that come in and they're very encouraging. They thank us, thank you for stepping out, or, we're going to shop here from now on. The store I shopped at doesn't carry it. And so it's been very, very encouraging. The Lord's been good to us. This was not my idea 17 years ago. And He took me into it kicking and screaming. And I doubt I'm going to go out because of this. This is not His idea to take
He put you through that 17 years ago. I hate it when people go, God doesn't allow anything to come into your life that he doesn't give you the strength to battle. That's not true. God doesn't put everything that comes into our lives is put into our lives by God for a purpose. Sometimes it's to break us, sometimes it's to mold us and shape us. Well, actually, all the time it molds us and shapes us, but sometimes it's to break us and leave us so dependent on him that we don't have any place to turn but him.
Yep.
Sometimes that molding and shaping that happens after the breaking is to strengthen us for something coming ahead. And what you went through there over 17 years ago was to be in this moment at this time to fight this fight for people who don't have a voice.
Yep.
And to give other people an outlet to say, we will do business with you. We will support you. Ladies and gentlemen, check out Bittersweet Gluten Free Bakery. Find them on, call them, and the number will be in the description. Check out their Facebook page. Leave a positive review. More positive reviews, the better the algorithm, and then order from them. And like I say all the time, don't worry about your safety. Don't worry about your reputation. If your reputation is bad because you're strong and you stand on something positive, on truth, that's fine. So don't worry about your reputation if you're speaking truth.
Yep.
Fight for your liberty. Fight for your freedom, and in this case, fight for the pursuit of happiness in life. And as always, until next time, sic semper tyrannis.